The NCAA has exhibited another chink in the armor, pausing all NIL-related investigations. That's another win for Tennessee. That and a whole lot more. It's your Monday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Vols. It is your team every single day. I'm your host, Eric Kane, and we have a whole lot to get into here today on the Monday show. Some Friday afternoon news dumps. NCAA is backing off Tennessee and other NIL-related investigations. Tennessee once again the forefront of college athletics. I'll tell you how. Some news that came out over the weekend as well. Jaylen Wright just dominated the combine. How high could he go in the NFL draft? Tennessee baseball, a successful weekend over Bowling Green, and just an incredible win for Tennessee basketball at Alabama to take sole possession of first place of the SEC with 2 games remaining. All that is coming up here on today's show. Don't forget Twitter Tuesday. Get in your questions, comments, and concerns. Anything you guys have on Tennessee football, recruiting, basketball, baseball, I will answer it on tomorrow's show. That is a Tuesday Locked On Vols. Big shout out to Nissan. Go check out the Nissan Pathfinder, Armada, Rogue, all that and more at nissanusa.com. So let's go ahead and jump into it. This was Friday afternoon, and it was a memo obtained by On3 Sports from NCAA President Charlie Baker, and he sent a memo out to NCAA member institutions announcing that he's going to pause all NCAA investigations involving third-party NIL collectives. This is from the memo. Quote, in response to the latest order, the Division I Board of Directors directed NCAA enforcement staff to pause and not begin investigations involving third-party participation in NIL-related activities. Excuse me. There will be no penalty for conduct that occurs consistent with the injunction while the injunction is in place. I agree with this decision while the progress toward making long-term solutions is underway while we await discussions with the attorneys generals. So essentially, you guys have been asking, we've been wondering kind of what's the next step. The state of Tennessee won the injunction against the NCAA a couple of weeks ago, or at least court was a couple of weeks ago. The announcement was, first of last week, I guess, or whatever the case was, or last Friday, I guess. And we were kind of wondering, what's that next step going to be? Well, there were a couple of different choices. Could the NCAA, hunker down and come strong after Tennessee and still try to remain relevant? Could they back off NIL-related investigations while they try to regroup? Could they still challenge all this in court? And it looks like they've chosen the latter. They're going to back off Tennessee and other programs that are currently under NIL investigations, saying that they can't enforce anything because it's in jointment with the injunction that was passed in the state of Tennessee. And so that is a good sign. Now, it's important to remember, this is pause for right now. The NCAA is still likely, long-term solution. This will be dealt with in court. No immediate plans right now, but it is paused right now. Doesn't mean that it's completely over. Doesn't mean that it's all said, done, signed, and delivered. But it is paused, and that is a step in the right direction because, again, if they continue to challenge us all the way up to courts, NCAA is going to lose once again. So I thought it was really interesting on Friday afternoon whenever the NCAA announced that they're, pausing these investigations because, of course, that's critical for, Tennessee. The memo goes on to say, from Charlie Baker, I realize pausing NIL-related enforcements while these other bylaws are upheld by the injunction will raise significant questions on campus. This is precisely why a D1 meeting room, not a courtroom, is the best place to change NCAA policy. Sidebar, excuse me, have you not been running to Congress for the past couple of years to try to bail you out? Have you not been running to Congress to try to help you out, to step in and fix NIL and fix transfer portal windows and all that? Two-faced, Charlie Baker, two-faced. He goes on to say, this is the only practical response to the injunction at this time, and we hope the attorneys will work with us to clarify next steps. Additionally, the D1 Board, NIL Working Group, and the NCAA staff are fully aware of the need to bring about clarity for the role of institutions as soon as possible. In fact, the council introduced a proposal in January intended to clarify the role of schools in NIL matters. The proposal will be on the council and board of agendas this April. Well, that sounds all great, buddy. You didn't really have much choice. So, again, a good sign for the University of Tennessee because the NCAA is obviously not further investigating Tennessee right now. This is from Judge Clifton Corker of the Eastern District Court of Tennessee and how he came about his injunction for the state and granted that injunction. This was, again, from the proceedings from court a couple of weeks ago. Quote, "Without the give and take of a free market, student athletes simply have no knowledge of their true NIL value. It is this suppression of negotiation leverage and the consequential lack of knowledge that harms student athletes." Again, that's some significant news. On another note, University of Tennessee continues to be kind of the face of this new era of college athletics. Why? Well, because, I mean, they were first a couple years ago and getting the collective in order and, Aspire Sports Group and all that. They were kind of on the forefront of name, image, and likeness. And now, News Sentinel's Adam Sparks put out that Tennessee is creating an NIL salary fund for athletes if power conferences defect from the NCAA. So, in anticipation of not just paying student athletes name, image, and likeness funds, okay, from a collective, Tennessee is preparing as if there's going to be a breakaway and the student athletes will become employees and you will pay them a salary. How is this all working? Well, according to Adam Sparks at Knox News, UT Board of Trustees approved the university's plan to create a nonprofit foundation that could quickly mobilize into a fund to pay salaries to athletes if the NCAA takes that next critical step. It would also prepare UT to make the cut if a super subdivision of the wealthiest college sports schools breaks away from the rest of Division I. Again, none of this is happening right now. None of this is impending, but I think we all can agree sooner or later there is going to be a big subdivision for college football. The SEC, the Big Ten, likely going to break away. And Tennessee is just getting its ducks in a row. And I don't know if any other program or any other university in the country, maybe they are, and I just haven't seen it, but I'm not sure any other university around the country is preparing for such a move like the University of Tennessee is in terms of setting up a nonprofit foundation that can quickly mobilize into a fund to pay salaries for student athletes. Knox News quotes Chancellor Donna Plowman in this, and it says it's really, quote, really an effort to try to be agile and be ready for the coming ages of college athletics. Again, this is just Tennessee being out in the forefront, Tennessee leading the charge once again and being ready for what is to come. I mean, we're truly in the golden age right now, in my opinion, here on Tennessee. You've got an athletic director that gets it. You have a chancellor in Donna Plowman that is pro sports all the way and has the backs of Tennessee athletes, of Tennessee coaches, and of just this university overall that will go to battle for this university. I think you got a good football coach in Josh Heupel. I think you have a great basketball coach in Rick Barnes. I think you have a fantastic baseball coach in Tony Vitello. Sure, are there some shortcomings around the athletic department? Absolutely. We talked about women's basketball last week, and there's some other non-revenues that could probably get better. But really enjoy it right now. There are so many sweeping changes in college athletics, specifically in college football right now. Be thankful that your university is at the forefront with some great leadership right now. And it starts with Donna Plowman, Danny White, and these head coaches, Josh Heupel, Rick Barnes, Tony Vitello, and others. So I thought all this was really significant. All this kind of came out on on Friday afternoon, still kind of gathering information and trying to learn more about it. But the NCAA backing off Tennessee for the time being, that's very important. And Tennessee is preparing essentially for a break. And with that break would come paying salaries to college athletes. I'll end with this. I know there's a lot of people right now that probably are listening and hating everything that I'm saying or reporting on because of so many changes. And that's completely fair. College football is almost unrecognizable from 10 years ago. Let's be completely frank. College athletics is almost unrecognizable from, just a couple years ago. There's so many different changes. And I get that. Change is hard. And a lot of these changes, I would argue, are not for the better. However, I would encourage everyone listening that may be kind of on the fence about this. This isn't going anywhere. Name, image, and likeness is not going anywhere. Transfer portal windows are not going anywhere. Conference expansion, hopefully it'll hold off for a little bit, but conference expansion has come and gone. I mean, it's happening right now. Sooner or later, football will break away from the NCAA. So if you want to pack up and go and not root for your team anymore, I mean, that's fine, but these changes aren't going anywhere. This is a new era. So it's absolutely fair to not like it. It's absolutely fair to think that it's taking away amateurism, because all those things are, kind of true, at the roots of things. But it's not going anywhere, and it's not changing. And so I'm here to report and here to talk about how Tennessee is trying to cope with the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, and I think it's off to a really, really good start. Hey, when we come back, Jaylen Wright dominated the NFL Draft Combine. We'll get a little baseball update, and plus, in segment 3, we'll talk about Tennessee's massive win at Alabama on the hardwood. That's coming up next as we continue on with a Monday Locked On Vols. I want to tell you about our friends over at Nissan. The 2024 Nissan Rogue, fantastic vehicle, and it's the kind of vehicle for a driver that likes to push things a little further. You ever wonder about what adventure could be around the corner? Our friends at Nissan have a line of SUVs that are maxed with capabilities to take your adventure to that next level. Talk about that Nissan Rogue for a moment. Perfect for the city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on pretty much anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, Google Play Store, all built right into your 12.3-inch HD touchscreen informant system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. What about that Pathfinder? Let's tell you a little bit about that 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. Has room up to 8. An expensive cargo capacity, advanced available 4x4 capability, with a 284 horsepower up to 6,000 pounds of towing when adventure calls. The Pathfinder is there to answer. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or even the Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure today. Shop NissanUSA.com. All right, welcome back into your Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Don't forget, you got Twitter Tuesday coming up tomorrow, so any questions, any comments, concerns, anything you guys have at _Caner and at Locked On Vols. All right, so I didn't dive too deep down into the Combine this weekend, but I did want to bring to the show Jaylen Wright. What a performance in Indianapolis over the weekend. Jaylen's uncle and some family members, often viewers and listeners of this podcast, and I hope you guys are watching and listening right now, because I want to tell you, man, you guys know I am a huge Jaylen Wright fan. I hope we get him on the show. I'd love to have Jaylen Wright on the show as well. But Jaylen Wright absolutely dominated the running back class at the NFL Combine. So when he did his testing over the weekend, he had a vertical jump of 38 inches. That's the 4th best among running backs in 2024. Really good. He had a broad jump of 11 foot 2 inches. That is the best among running backs in 2024. It's the second best it's the second best among skill players, and it's the second best by any running back in Combine history. It's not bad. I mean, that is not bad. Again, I'm gonna read that again. 11 feet 2 inches broad jump. Best among running backs in 2024. Second best among skill players. Second best by any running back in Combine history. That is leaving your mark. What about the 40? What about the most overrated, excuse me, the most overrated drill test that you're going to do at the NFL Combine that wagers millions and millions and millions of dollars on these prospective athletes? Well, Jaylen Wright cruised a 4.38 40-yard dash, the second fastest among running backs in 2024. Let's see here. 15.18 miles per hour is the fastest by a running back in the last 2 combines. Jaylen Wright runs a 4.38 40-yard dash. That is scooting. Absolutely scooting. This is from our friend Rick Butler over at Rocky Top Insider. Top speed at 5 yards in the 40-yard dash the last 2 years at running back, according to the NFL Next Gen stats. So top speed at 5 yards in the 40-yard dash last 2 years at the Combine, according to the NFL Next Gen stats. Tennessee running back Jaylen Wright, number 1 at 15.18. Former Texas A&M running back, which I never learned how to say his name. He plays for the Dolphins now, I believe. Devon Achane, 14.94, and Jahmyr Gibbs, former Alabama, Georgia Tech running back at 14.75. All this to say, Jaylen Wright absolutely humming absolutely humming at the NFL Draft Combine, and Mel Kiper Jr. has already said that he's kind of his guy, that he likes him a lot. Watch Jaylen Wright continue to climb up draft boards and put himself in conversations with RB2 and RB3. I really think that could be the case, and what a performance there for Jaylen Wright. Congratulations to him. Before we get into the baseball, I do want to make one more mention. This came out over the weekend as well from Ross Dellinger. College football was expected to add 3 new things, and we'll go into more detail about this tomorrow if you'd like. Helmet communication, which we knew was on the forefront here. Tablets on the sideline and halftime. Well, I mean, pretty much everybody uses that. Some high schools in the area use that as well. And then the big one is a 2-minute warning. Let's make no ifs, ands, buts about it, folks. The 2-minute warning is nothing but an extra commercial break of 2.5 minutes to make more and more money. Money's never enough. There's never going to be enough money from the bigwigs in the room. It's incredible. 2-minute warning, it's fine. I mean, for the flow of the game, you can count on an extra timeout. I like that. I mean, I like watching that in the NFL, but there's no really reason to implement it. All it is to make more and more money. That's all it is. But it looks like a 2-minute warning, which again would come last 2 minutes of the first half or second quarter and last 2 minutes of the game, fourth quarter, would be essentially an extra timeout, just like you see in the NFL. So I'll be intrigued to see how coaches kind of adapt all this. Helmet communication's been a conversation for a long time. There was an experimental phase. I don't believe Tennessee did it. I don't believe the SEC did it in bowl games this year, but there were some teams that were experimenting with some helmet communications, with the I don't know all the details, but with the quarterback and then, one offensive player, one defensive player, so typically a quarterback and a middle linebacker. If I'm a betting man, I bet Josh Heupel doesn't even want to use that because he has a system and they go and they have tempo and they have hand signals and all that. But I'm really intrigued to ask Josh Heupel over spring practice and, of course, the next couple of times we talk to him, how they're going to incorporate helmet communication. So I thought that was pretty interesting and pretty telling as well. So, all right, when we come back, let's talk a little baseball real quickly. At the time of this recording, Games 1 and 2 were in the book. I know a lot of you guys wanted to talk some baseball, have a baseball segment on Monday. Typically how it falls out, I need to record this before, game 3 of the series because, I'm going to work and I'm there at the field for, 5 hours or so. And when I come back, I need to have a little bit of a live. So I try to record these episodes before I go to the field on Sunday. So game 3 at the time of this recording has not happened, but I'm fully expecting a series sweep over Bowling Green. And games 1 looked really, really good. A.J. Causey was fantastic. A.J. Causey went 7 innings. He had, I believe, 9 strikeouts. Just a phenomenal work for A.J. Causey, who stepped in for A.J. Russell. Yeah, A.J. Causey, 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 9 strikeouts, no walks. Tennessee won in run rule fashion, 11-1 in game number 1. In game 2, Tennessee won in run rule fashion in 7 innings. It was 12-1. They had a 7-run 6th inning that got them to the run rule. Drew Beam was fantastic. He went 6 innings, gave up 1 hit. It was a leadoff home run to DJ Newman. He had 1 walk. His first walk of the season came in the 4th inning, a leadoff walk. He had 9 strikeouts. That was 1 shy of a career high of 10. Drew Beam had his full pitches in his arsenal working for him, as he said in postgame, and he looked really, really good. At the plate so far, man, it's been a weekend of Blake Burke. Blake Burke homered twice on Saturday, homered once on Friday. Billy Amick homered once on Tuesday, homered twice on Friday, homered once on Saturday. Blake Burke has gone back-to-back home runs in back-to-back days leading into Sunday's game. He went back-to-back with Billy Amick on Friday and went back-to-back with Christian Moore on Saturday. Blake Burke is coming around. Don't look now, but Blake Burke is here, and Billy Amick has been every bit as good as advertised. He is simply an elite baseball player, looking really, really good. So that heart of the order, Blake Burke hitting in the 2 spot doesn't look too bad right now. Billy Amick at 3, Kavaris Tears and cleanup, and then some combination of Robin Villeneuve or Dalton Bargo or Cannon Peebles. They're coming around. Of course, you have Dylan Dreiling that's still there as well. Cal Stark got the start on Friday. Behind the plate, Hunter Ensley hitting in the bottom of the order now. He had a couple hits on Saturday, had a hit on Friday. Looks like he's starting to work himself kind of out of his slump, and I think that's critical because I think Hunter Ensley's been a really good two-hitter for an Omaha team last year, but you put him down at 9, kind of flip that order, and it's still really, really deadly, in my opinion. Kind of have a second leadoff man down there below. So, been really impressed with Tennessee baseball. We'll continue to monitor the injury situations with A.J. Russell, with Chris Stamos, with some of these other guys. Dean Curley made his return to the lineup, which is really good. Ariel Antigua has been doing in and out, pregame work in the field. He's not really swinging a bat yet, but say he's still about a week or two away from swinging a bat, and then we'll see how he can contribute. Tennessee baseball overall did what it was supposed to do over the weekend, at least heading into Sunday. 2 run rule victories, 11-1 and 12-1. And we'll see what Sunday's Game 3 brings, but fully expected to be a Derek Schaefer will get the ball first, as we know, and then it'll be bullpen behind him. But fully expect there to be another run rule victory for Tennessee on Sunday, or at least a sweep of some sorts. But I appreciate you guys for asking about baseball. I'll continue to talk as much baseball on here as you want to, but we need to talk about Tennessee basketball. What a performance at Alabama. What does this mean? And some of these unsung heroes for Tennessee on the basketball court Saturday night. That is coming up next as we continue on with a Monday Locked On Vols. Want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That is $150 if your bet wins. Quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. College basketball season happening right now. We are in the month of March, guys. You know what that means? It means madness is happening. Major League Baseball and spring training right now. College baseball happening, and before you know it, college football will be back here, and you can have a rooting interest in the game, put some coin in your pocket, have a blast doing it as well with so many different options on the safe, secure, easy-to-use app over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to shoot your shot. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. More to come here as we'll talk Tennessee hoops in segment number 3 of a Monday Locked On Vols. What a performance for Tennessee on the road at Alabama. Going to this game, fighting for first place in the SEC. Both teams were tied atop the SEC standings. Tennessee just came off an emotional, hard-fought victory over Auburn at home on Wednesday night where Dalton Knecht just went off. You go on the road, 3 games left in the regular season. Nobody in America, in my opinion, has a tougher 3 or 4 game stretch in the regular season than Tennessee. Check 1 against Auburn. Go on the road against Alabama, and check number 2. And Tennessee gets that win 81-74. What I love about this game, number 1, is that Dalton Knecht was not Superman on the night. He was, in fact, a Clark Kent. He was human. Can you believe it? And Tennessee found a way to win. Why? Because Tennessee is filled with a veteran group of players. And that's what Nato said after the game. That's what Rick Barnes said after the game. Tennessee won this game because they're filled with veterans. It's filled with veterans. They know what it takes. They know the buttons to push. And when Dalton Knecht finishes with, 13 points on the night, you have Zakai Zeigler, who was fantastic, 18 points. He had 4 assists, only 1 turnover. You had Josiah-Jordan James, who finished with a double-double, 11 points and 11 rebounds on the night. You had Jemiah Mashack, who his minutes have been continued to dwindle down. He played 26 minutes and 41 seconds on the night. You had Santiago Vescovi that was, he picked his spots and he made some really critical baskets, 8 points overall. He made a pair of 3-pointers. And then, of course, you had Jordan Gainey, who was fantastic in the first half. He was 2 of 9 from the field, 9 points scored in the first half, and really kept Tennessee afloat when he was in the basketball game in the first half specifically. Tennessee had to navigate through foul trouble all night long. Foul trouble galore. Jonas Adu was in foul trouble. Tobe Awaka was in foul trouble. Dalton Knecht was in foul trouble at points and times. You had to throw in J.P. Estrella a couple of times just to get looks because Tennessee was in foul trouble, and you had to go really, really small ball. And points and times, Josiah-Jordan James was playing the 5, which is not a recipe that you want. Tennessee led by 10 with a couple minutes left in the first half, and then Alabama went on a 12-0 run to close that first half and to lead Tennessee at the break by a score of 41-39. But Tennessee comes back, outscores Alabama 42-33 in the second half, and one of my favorite plays from just a guy that continues to stick it out and continues to be a great teammate and working hard. Tennessee's trailing 62-0, or 62-60, excuse me, with about a little over 6 minutes left. Zakai Zeigler penetrating the block there, kicks it out. Jemai Meshack, of all people, in the left corner, puts up a three, sinks it, doesn't celebrate, doesn't high-five everybody, gets back, picks off a pass. His older brother was a former Division I secondary guy, picks off a pass, creates a turnover, gets it to Zakai Zeigler, who throws it over to Jonas Adu, who puts it up for the and-one. What a turning point in this basketball game with about 6 minutes left, where Tennessee takes the lead and Tennessee doesn't relinquish it. So much that I like about this basketball game, where Tennessee didn't shoot the ball incredibly well. Tennessee got in foul trouble. But you held statistically, you held the nation's best offense to go 3 of 23 from the field from the 15-23 mark of the second half. Again, statistically, according to KenPom, the nation's best offensive efficiency team went 3 of 23 from the field from the 15-23 mark of the second half. Incredible. Tennessee trailed 58-51 with 12 minutes or so to go, outscored Alabama 30-16 the rest of the way. Tennessee basketball just proved yet again that it is a team that can make a deep tournament run. And we know how March is. We understand how March is and how it's wacky and how oftentimes, so many times, the best team in college basketball doesn't win the national championship because this isn't the NBA. You're not playing the best of a 5 or the best of a 7-game series, where typically the cream rises to the top and you win that series. You're playing a one-off. And if you have a bad night, you're going home. And so I can't predict what's going to happen in March in the NCAA tournament. But because Tennessee has a Superman and Dalton Connect, because you have veterans and Josiah-Jordan James that has versatility that can come up huge on the boards when your two big men get in foul trouble. You have Santiago Vespi, who hit a couple of big shots and was over there, and every Tennessee fan is loving the shot that they got of him, drawing up plays on the sideline, showing what leadership truly is. You have a guy in Jordan Gainey that has been big in spurts and times throughout the season, holding Tennessee afloat in the first half with 9 points. It's kind of that perfect combination, in my opinion. And then a guy like Jemai Meshack that, again, has been a starter, has played such a big role for Tennessee over the years, has kind of been put on the back burner a little bit this season, but stepped up and made a three-pointer and then turns around in a fantastic defensive play, turning the tide, if you will, okay, of that basketball game with about 6 minutes left in the game. Just incredible. Jemai Meshack, you know, if you ask anybody around, probably the MVP of the game. Jordan Gainey's first half scoring was huge. Santiago Vespi, he was crafty. He hit some shots that were incredible in points in time. Josiah-Jordan James, versatility and his aggressiveness on the boards were invaluable. This was a team win from a mental toughness, Tennessee just wanted it more, and Tennessee was more physical in this basketball game, and to go on the road and endure that environment. You'll never see an environment like that again the rest of the season. I mean, Tennessee's going to go on the road to South Carolina. South Carolina's a really good basketball team this year, and they're already beaten Tennessee once, but the environment, in my opinion, is not going to be anywhere close than what it was in Coleman Coliseum the other night. For what Tennessee did in that game, truly incredible. And again, Tennessee is sitting in a really, really good spot. So Tennessee basketball over the last 3 games of the regular season, the last 2 games of the regular season. So last 2 games of the regular season. Tennessee can clinch at least a share of the SEC's regular season championship with a win at South Carolina on Wednesday or a win over Kentucky on Saturday. The first place Vols are 1 game ahead of the Gamecocks with 2 games left after the win at Alabama on Saturday night. So with at least 1 win next week, the Vols would finish with no more than 4 conference losses. South Carolina and Alabama would have to go 2-0 next week. The Gamecocks host the Vols, then go to Mississippi State, while while Alabama goes to Florida on Tuesday and hosts Arkansas on Saturday. For either to earn a share of the regular season title, those teams would have to go 2-0 next week. Tennessee can clinch at least a share with one more win at South Carolina or against Kentucky at home. Tennessee's in a really, really good spot. Tennessee's in a great spot. CBS Sports has Tennessee up to the 1 line. I don't think Joe Lunardi does. I'll have to check back on that later on Sunday evening, but I don't think Joe Lunardi has Tennessee up at a 1 line. But regardless, Tennessee is a force to be reckoned with, and what a statement. What a statement on Saturday night for Tennessee on the road. It was a Tennessee Saturday night. Play Dixieland a lot, am I right? Man, I couldn't get enough of that basketball game. What a performance from Tennessee, and hats off to those seniors, Jemiah Mashack, those veterans, Mashack, James, Vescovy, and of course Zakai Zeigler, who's not a senior, but he's a veteran on this team. And Tennessee found a way to win when Dalton Connect was not Superman, and that is what good teams do. All right, guys, appreciate you for being here on a Monday. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, making Locked On Vols your first listen each and every day. Shout out everydayers, as always, for making this show what it is. Any questions you have, any questions on Tennessee football, basketball, baseball, recruiting, we'll do it on the mailbag edition of the show. That's coming up tomorrow right here at Locked On Vols. Send in those questions at _Kane or at Locked On Vols, or comment on the YouTube page under this episode title. Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you for being here, and we'll talk again on Tuesday. This is Locked On Vols.